Your Name was released in 2016, is directed by Makoto Shinkai, and is basically about two high schoolers from different ends of Japan who end up swapping bodies with each other, and over the coming weeks and months they have to learn to adapt to each other's bodies and lifestyles without changing too much in regards to friendships with family members and with friends. I have been waiting so goddamn long to talk about Your Name. From the moment I first saw it, I knew I had seen something special. Almost everything about this film is unique, yet also kind of beautiful at the same time. And whereas some movies with a premise like this could get a little bit overdramatic, I think this movie hits the nail on the head in just the right way without crossing that line of being too overdramatic. Because the further you get into this film, the more you realise how sad and heart-wrenching this story ends up becoming. And because of that, this movie surprised the hell out of me when I first watched it, and still packs a punch every time I've seen it since. This goes without saying, but the animation in this film is bloody gorgeous. You're going to hear me say that a lot throughout my anime series of reviews, but it's true. The animation in this movie is absolutely brilliant. I mean, they do a lot of cool things in regards to camera angles, or I don't quite know what you really call it in regards to animation, but the shifting of perspectives, specifically in certain scenes regarding characters looking out as a shooting star happens. The use of perspectives in that is brilliant. And it's also traditional hand-drawn animation as well, which just makes it that little bit better, if you get what I mean. There's a lot more to appreciate with a hand-drawn film than there is with, say, a CG animated one. And I'm not saying CG animated films are shit. Some of them are brilliant. But I just feel like there's a little bit more there to appreciate in regards to hand-drawn and even stop-motion animated films, because a lot more effort's gone into that than, say, a CG one. As I mentioned, the story, which seems pretty straightforward at first, does take a turn as the film goes on, and kind of blooms into this thing that you really weren't expecting it to be. I'm trying to keep it as vague as possible for those of you that haven't seen it, but trust me, by the time this movie ends, you will be glad it went certain directions, because the certain things this movie does in regards to kind of playing with the conventions of the body swap genre really works. Like, yeah, it obviously takes a more comedic approach to that body swap aspect at times, but for the most part, it handles it with genuine emotion and genuine feeling, and actually a lot of maturity as well. Because in a story like this, especially if you're looking at something like, I don't know, Freaky Friday, or a more Hollywoodized version of the body swap film, it 9 out of 10 times primarily goes for immaturity and comedy. This movie manages to find a nice blend between drama, comedy, and handling it with enough maturity that you can appreciate it no matter how old you are. But obviously I think the older you are, the more there is to appreciate that, with that being said. And that goes into the next thing. The characters are incredibly likeable in this movie. From the two leads to their many friends that they have, everybody in this movie is likeable, and the journey that these characters go on, especially in regards to how they learn to adapt to each other's lifestyles, is genuinely interesting and is handled in probably the best possible way it could have been. Now, despite how great this movie is, I do have one minor nitpick with Your Name, and that's the fact that I do feel as if it goes on for about 15 minutes too long. That's it, though. The ending itself is brilliant. It's one of the best endings I've seen in recent years, especially in an animated film as well. But the last 15 minutes do feel like they drag slightly, and I feel like they could have condensed it. At least the lead up to that ending anyway. Because the ending itself, like I just said, is perfect. But the lead up to that ending feels like it could have been condensed slightly. Because everything is so perfectly paced and running really smoothly up until that point where it does feel like an extra 15 minutes have been added on. But the ending it then goes to is really, really worth it. In the end, I'm going to give Your Name a 9.5 out of 10. It's very, very close to getting a 10, but it's that very minor nitpick that stops it from getting my full grade. So guys, that was my review for Your Name. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, then give it a thumbs up. And stay tuned for more anime reviews coming out over the course of the year. And yeah, I will see you in the next one. Bye.